Hello and welcome to Bites Bread and Barbecue. My name is Ross Contino. I wanted to do a short comparison of Plasma KDE 5 versus Plasma KDE 6. I've been experimenting with this desktop. I'm a long-time GNOME user and also Cinnamon desktop user, and a little bit less so with KDE. I have been using a KDE Kubuntu installation with Plasma 5, which is the default for 24.04 long-term support. That is a very stable environment, and I've enjoyed it. I thought we would take a quick little tour of that, and then I've installed a Linux distribution. It's actually an Arch distribution with a Plasma 6 installation with the latest kernel and the latest version of Plasma onto a virtual machine, and we take a look to see if there are any differences between the two. So let's take a look first at KDE on Kubuntu with KDE 5. So here we are on my desktop running KDE 5, and if we go in and we just want to take a look at some system information here, we go to the About box and we can see that we are in fact running 5.27 on kernel 6.8 with an X11 windowing system, and this is the default for Kubuntu. They install Kubuntu 24.04 long-term support with the X11 option only and Plasma 5. So all in all, it looks pretty snappy here. If we go through file folders in Dolphin or what we expect to see, and we can go through all of our different areas here, our file folders, and everything operates pretty much the way that we would expect them to operate. We also have a very nice software store that comes hooked up with the Ubuntu resources of both Ubuntu repositories and also Snap. Ubuntu has sold its soul to Snap, so Kubuntu follows pace with that. You can install other applications from either the software store or from the console, which is the terminal application that they use, and this functions as a typical terminal application. If you go to customize your environment here, you right click onto the bar, and we go into configure the task manager if we so wish. We can also enter the edit mode for the taskbar, and this allows you to move all of these different things that you have running around on the taskbar, and I hope I didn't do anything there. You can also drag the panels to different sections, and you get this top bar that allows you to configure your wallpaper. You can choose global themes, and you can also configure your display settings from here. And if we hit this exit button, that all kind of goes away. And you can see that it continues to look very similar to anything else that you would be running. The KDE interface kind of has this bar at the bottom with a start button that's reminiscent of Windows 10, making it an easy transition from one to the other, and you saw that Firefox launched pretty snappy there. So if we take a look at the system just for a brief comparison here, this is actually a version of Arch with the latest kernel and the latest KDE version installed, looking pretty much the same. Now when you install with Arch, you install your display system and also your GUI directly from the terminal line when you first do the installation. And this is coming with a pure KDE interface. It does not come with Firefox. It comes with this Falcon browser that is a little bit different. I'm assuming that if I would install a different version of Kubuntu, like the non-long-term support, that it would in fact show me things like Firefox and things that I'm used to seeing. Whereas with this, it was a clean terminal install of KDE, and it came with Falcon. If you go through and look at the different menu options that are available, things here are very, very similar. You have your favorites area. If we go into system settings here and just type about, the big change that you're going to see is that with KDE 6, you're going to have a Wayland graphics platform. which that means that everything in Linux is moving towards Wayland. It's supposed to be a better windowing system. It's supposed to be faster. I don't know that I've actually noticed any difference, and I've created a machine here that is just using 4 CPUs and 4 gigabytes of RAM, so this is not an optimum machine, but you can see that it has put KDE 6.3 on there. It has put the Wayland system on a kernel version of 6.13. So here we are, almost 5 subkernel releases ahead of what Kubuntu had, plus we have the newer KDE platform here. The other things that I've really have noticed that are different with it, it basically functions the same way. Now, since this is Arch, they want you to install all of the software from the command line using Pacman. When you try to load the software store here, it's showing that it's taking a long time, but the funny thing is, with an Arch installation and a terminal installation, this software store is not connected. I'm assuming if you did this under Neon or Kubuntu 2410, that those things would be connected again, but I wanted to try this with the latest version of KDE available and also with the latest kernel available. If we go down, another thing when you go to configure this environment, the configuration looks a little bit different. Remember before we had the top bar across here and also the different things that we could slide around. When you right click on the panel, you now get your desktop miniaturized into the side, and you can add or manage widgets here. You can add panels here and drop them onto this screen where they're going to be, but it also gives you panel settings here that you can change where your taskbar or panel at the bottom here is always going to be. You can have it in a floating manner. If I unclick this, you can see that it locks to the bottom. It continues to float. You can have it fill the width. You can have different styles. And that has changed a little bit with the release of Plasma 6. But the biggest things are that modification and the evolution of using Wayland instead of X11. Those are the biggest changes. Everything else here seems to be fairly similar, and you haven't noticed too much change, which is actually kind of nice because it goes for consistency between the different environments if you're upgrading. So just my little take on a comparison of the two. I'm going to just do this as a brief release video. If you found this helpful at all, please give me a thumbs up or subscribe to my channel. That helps me with YouTube. It was just a brief description characterizing what I see as the differences between Plasma 5 and 6. Thanks for stopping by.